Welcome to another day of Read Rich and Righteous. We're reading Rich and Righteous Spiritual Secrets, Mastering Money Manifestation in Your Mind. And we are continuing our journey in Money Commandment number 8, which is how the rich and righteous manifest money. Yesterday, we began the section on the role of man in manifestation. And we began the PWWP framework, which is plant, water, weed, and prune. And we got through the planting stage, recognizing that seeds, right? Seeds in the Bible represent thought. And we want to tap into the highest and richest thought, which are thoughts that come from the subconscious or the superconscious mind, which is the God mind. And those seeds get planted into the soil of our subconscious mind, but the conscious mind gets to choose what is actually going to get planted. And so now that we've chosen the thought, which is the first thing is planting, now we want to get into watering, weeding, and pruning those thoughts so that they can bear the most fruit. All right. I see people typing in their consistency score. We are now on day 58, and I see some people with 58s. That's absolutely amazing. That just shows their consistency over the course of this time. We know that in order to reprogram the subconscious mind requires repetition and consistency. And so this is just a reflection of you. It is not to compare. We know that some of you just found out about this family, and we welcome you. If you are new to the family, you can join this challenge for absolutely free at richrightnow.com, at richrightnow.com. When you do that, on the thank you page, you can get the ebook or a physical copy of the book. And when you buy the ebook or physical copy, you also get the replays so that you can catch up. And for those of you who have been with us but might have missed a few days, you can also go get the digital package, and that includes the replays so that you can catch up and get to 72 before we get to the end. All right. So let's get right into it. Everybody type I got it. We're on page 310. Type I got it when you are ready. And we actually discussed that yesterday. The difference between I got this, right, which is manpower, and I got this. And we have to be able to know the balance and the difference between the two. So I got it, I-G-O-D-I-T. We are on page 310. We have about 5 pages today as we go through the end of the PWWP framework. Actually, just 5 pages today. And so let's get into it. All right. So we are on page 310, number 2, right? Water, right? So we discussed plant, which is choosing thought. Now we're going into water, all right? So water is giving attention and energy. Once a seed thought is planted into the subconscious mind's fertile soil, we must nurture it by giving it repeated, frequent, constant attention and energy, just as the sun does to facilitate photosynthesis. Remember that one of the best ways to reprogram the subconscious mind is through repetition. So consistency is key. This is why I've designed this particular money mindset reprogram in this way, because it taps into the power of consistency, right? Then he returned to his disciples and found them sleeping. Could you men keep watch with me for 1 hour? Matthew 26:40. Controlling your attention and energy are disciplines that the disciples Jesus took to the Garden of Gethsemane didn't have. Okay. Don't get caught sleeping on your dreams, right? We want to dream wide awake. We don't just want to dream when we are sleeping. We don't want to just daydream on our day job. We want to dream wide awake. So don't get caught sleeping on your dreams. You have to give them consistent thought energy, okay? Keep watch means keep your attention and conscious thought on the seed thought, even if you can't see it yet. So when we plant a seed in dirt, we're like looking, right? We just planted the seed 2 minutes ago and we're like, man, nothing's coming up. But you have to be able to see it in its finished form. So we're not looking for instant manifestation. That's what some people think manifestation is, instant, that it's instant, right? Manifestation is, as we discussed, being able to see that which is already there. And you have to be able to see the pumpkin even though it's in its seed stage. So you may not be able to physically see it with your 2 eyes, which we uncovered are actually the robbers that steal life from us, right? But you can plant that seed and still hold it in belief in your mind using your 3rd eye, not the 2 eyes, and see it in its full finished form, okay? So that's what keep watch means. Keep your attention and conscious thought on the seed, even if you can't see it yet. This is not worrisome, anxious, or impatient energy that thinks, why is nothing happening? When is it going to pop? Why is this not working? That kind of energy plants a divine idea and minutes later uproots it because it doesn't see anything happening. So that kind of energy plants a seed, doesn't see anything happening fast enough based on their man-made timeline, and then digs it up to try to figure out what's going on. And now you got to start the process all over again. Remember what we covered in regards to vision boards. As the light of the world, a son of God, okay? As the light of the world, a son, S-U-N of God, and S-O-N of God, you can think you are giving the thought seed energy, but you may be focusing on the absence of the desired manifestation instead of the presence of it. From the outside looking in, they both look like focus, but the question is, what are you focusing on? Are you focused on the absence, or are you focused on the presence of it? Okay. In the word absence, okay, everybody type absence, AB-sense, AB-sense, S-E-N-S-E. Okay. You know, I love to break down words. Absence. In the word absence, the prefix ab means away or without. So together it means without your five senses. Just because your five senses can't perceive something doesn't mean it is not there. There are radio frequencies and light frequencies passing right before me right now. There's internet frequencies passing before me right now. But just because my five senses can't see them doesn't mean that they are not there. Okay? So this is the challenge of trying to perceive the absence of something that is without our senses. We have to be able to start to see things without our senses. Like that's what presents, right? Pre-sense. Prior to our senses, we have to be able to acknowledge it. Okay, so everybody type pre-sense. Pre-sense. Okay, actually, we're going to get there in just a second. The visible light that human beings can see only makes up 0.0035% of the entire rainbow of wavelengths that exist. So you think that rouge or blue or lavender is your favorite color, and you think you've chosen that color out of the entire spectrum. You are only seeing a fraction of the entire spectrum. There are colors that you can't even see. I love this color right here, right? But if I'm only choosing this color out of the spectrum that I'm aware of, that doesn't mean it's the richest color out there. It just means I'm choosing from that which I can perceive and see, right? So as Corinthians 4:18 says, fix your eyes not on what is seen, but on what is unseen. Since what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen is eternal. In the word presence or pre-sense, everybody type that, P-R-E-sense, S-E-N-S-E, S-E-N-S-E. In the word pre-sense, the prefix means prior to, in advance of, or beforehand. So together, it means sensing or feeling it is here, happening before your five senses. So we want to focus on the pre-sense or the presence of something, not the absence of something. You have to see it in your head and believe it in your heart before you can receive it in your hand. You have to see it in your head and believe it in your heart before you can receive it in your hand. Okay? If you are feeling fear, doubt, and worry, it means that you are focusing on the absence because you can't see it without your physical eyes. And when you focus on absence, guess what you get? You get absence because you're uprooting the seed thought you planted. If you are feeling faith, love, and patience, it means that you are focusing on the presence. Even though you can't see it with your physical eyes, you can see it becoming with your mind's eye. And when you are present and focused on the presence, it must represent itself in your material reality. It will represent itself. If you go back to Genesis, it says replenish the earth. If you're replenishing something, that means that it was full before, right? And that you're filling it back up. It doesn't say plenish the earth. I don't even know if plenish is a word. It says replenish. So that means that something was there before. Okay? So again, even though you can't see it with your physical eyes, you can see it becoming with your mind's eye, right? You can shut these eyes and still see it coming. I can plant the pumpkin seed in the darkness of the soil, and I can still look at the ground and I can see the pumpkin coming to be and believe that it is. And know that it is, not just believe it, but know that it is. And when you are present and focused on the present, it must represent itself, right? It's representing because you already saw it in your mind. Now it's just representing itself back unto you in your material reality. First, it matters in the heaven of your mind, and then it materializes in your experience on earth. First, it matters, right? Means that you really care about it. That's what it means to matter. It means that you really care about it. First, it matters in the heaven of your mind, and then it materializes, it becomes physical in your experience on earth. This is the process of bringing heaven on earth. We are keeping watch in our mind's eye, not with our two eyes. And throughout the Bible, you'll see and especially in the New Testament or the Gospels, you'll see metaphors and allegories about the towers. But you'll never hear about a person in the watchtower, because what's in the watchtower is not a person. It's actually your mind's eye watching over, right? Truly being a gardener of that which you were meant to cultivate. Right? You may have a family that you're meant to cultivate. You may have a business team of colleagues that you're meant to cultivate. Right? You may have a business that you're meant to cultivate. You may have a nonprofit that you're meant to cultivate. That is what you are supposed to be in the watchtower over, but you're not using your five senses. In order to be a visionary, you have to be able to see blind. In order to be a visionary, you have to be able to see blind. Right? You can see things that people who are on the ground, they can't see those things. That is your responsibility as the gardener and the leader. So we're keeping watch in our mind's eye, not with our two eyes. This is a believing energy that has 100% faith in God and the universal laws God established for all of creation. We can imagine the unfoldment in our mind as if it's already real. We know that soon enough, there will be 100% alignment on earth, our material experience, as it is in heaven, our mental experience. We don't measure manifestation based on worldly time. We trust in divine timing and stay ready. Everybody type stay ready. If you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. The last thing you want is for God to be ready to use you, but then you not ready to be used. The last thing you want is for God to be ready to use you, but you not be ready to be used. Okay, so we got to stay ready, right? God ready to use you, but you not ready to be used. That is the last thing we want. The work is, what does it say? The harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. The harvest is plentiful. There is more than enough. There is an abundance, but the laborers are few. They weren't ready to put in the work. Okay. A Chinese bamboo tree takes 5 years to grow. It has to be watered and fertilized in the ground where it has been planted every day. It doesn't break through the ground for 5 years. Right. After 5 years, once it breaks through the ground, it can grow up to 90 feet tall in 5 weeks. This is faith matched with works and prayer coupled with action. The longer you believe, the deeper the roots. And the deeper the roots, the better the fruits when what you are seeking manifests on earth in your conscious experience. We wait with a certain anticipation, not an uncertain anxiousness, right? So for those of you who have had a $1 million idea or something that you wanted to manifest, are you committed to believing in it for 5 years without anything happening? Could you believe in it for 5 years without seeing any fruit? Do you believe in it that much? Because the longer you believe in the unseen, the deeper the roots come, and then when it finally breaks ground, the better the fruits. So we wait with a certain anticipation, not with an uncertain anxiousness. All right. So that is the watering. Okay. It's not watering with liquid. It is watering with our attention, our consistent attention and thought energy. Okay. Now we're moving on to 3, which is weeding. So we're doing the PWWP framework, which you can see the visual here. Okay. Now we're moving on to weeding. Okay. Plant, water, and now we weed. What do we have to weed? Well, we have to keep negative thoughts away. Okay. We know that the seed is good and we know that it's now planted in good soil, but we have to keep negative thoughts away, and they come. They just naturally come. It's just part of the experience. Okay. The next step of manifestation is weeding. Matthew 24:42-43 says, watch therefore, again, watch towers. You keep seeing this. This watch is about your attention, but not with your 2 eyes, but with your third eye, your first eye, your mind's eye. Watch therefore, for ye know not what hour your Lord doth come, but know this, that if the good man of the house had known in what watch the thief would come, he would have watched and would not have suffered his house to be broken up. And we know in the Bible, when it's referring to house, what is that referring to? A house divided against itself cannot stand. It's not talking about a physical house. Okay. It's not talking about your marriage. It's talking about your mind, your temple. So when a house divided against itself cannot stand, that's when the subconscious and conscious thought are not aligned. That's where you say consciously, I want to be rich, but subconsciously you hate rich people. Those are 2 incongruent thoughts. That's a house divided against itself. right? So I hope that you're starting to make these connections for yourself, and it's changing the way that you read the text, okay? The guard inner must keep the negative thoughts of fear, doubt, worry, and scarcity out of the garden, or else they will take the thought energy the original seed thought needs to grow to its full potential. It takes time for a thought to take root, depending on how fertile and receptive the soil of the subconscious mind is. The depth of its roots in the heaven of the subconscious mind will determine the height it can grow on earth. As the idea starts to take root and unfold, the conscious mind can now split its attention between the original seed thought and weed thought. So originally, and this is why when you think about the allegory around Herod killing all the children under the age of 2, that is the ego trying to kill all new thoughts before they can actually take root. All newborn thoughts and ideas, trying to kill the Christ consciousness. The ego, Herod, was trying to kill the Christ consciousness before it could take root, before it could develop, before it could stand on its own, before it could defend itself. Are you understanding? Sometimes we look like plants, and we can try to harvest what has come up too fast. Other times we can mistake weeds that sprout up before the seed we planted does as failure. I want you to be aware in advance that weeds will arise. Let's just know that weeds will arise. It's a natural part of the process. When good energy is just attractive of everything, good energy just happens to attract everything, right? If you are a well of wisdom, guess what? You're going to attract thirsty people. If you are a well of resources and abundance, you're going to attract needy, thirsty people. It's just part of the process. It's polarity. It just naturally happens. So rather than be surprised by it, I want you to be aware of it. When you are trying to do something good, there will be negative things that arise. Okay. So we don't have to look at them as negative as in like, get out of here, but we just have to be alert, right? We have to keep watch. I want you to be aware in advance that weeds will arise. There will always be scavengers that like to feed off of anything with life. There will always be scavengers. There will always be hyenas, right? There will always be parasites. It's just part of the process. It's the balance of the equation. It's normal and it's natural. So you don't have to look at it as like, why me? Why are they coming after me? It's just part of the process. Matthew 12:26-30 reads, so when the plants came up and bore grain, then the weeds appeared also. And the servants of the masters of the house came and said to him, Master, did you not sow good seed in your field? How then does it have a weed? He said to them, an enemy has done this. So the servant said to him, do you want us to go and gather them? But he said, no, lest in gathering the weeds, you root up the wheat along with them. Let both grow together until the harvest. And at the harvest time, I will tell the reapers, gather the weeds first and bind them in bundles to be burned, but gather the wheat into my barn. So you're either going to go into the barn or you're going to be burned. But please do not interpret that as hellfire. Okay. People are afraid of hellfire, but fire burns physical things. But if you go into the spiritual realm, there's nothing physical. So what are you afraid of burning? You're afraid of being burned as a spirit? When you're spirit, there's nothing physical. So you see in the manipulation that is out there in regards to how religious dogma seeks to keep you in a fear-based state. Second paragraph on page 313. The enemy is not an outside force, family. It is our inner me, our shrinking thinking that can be our worst enemy. Our one negative thought, like fear of failure or impatience, can cause you to uproot the entire good seed and hinder the entire harvest. We must be careful when weeding not to throw out the baby with the bathwater. While you want to keep most of your energy on the thought you are seeking to manifest, some thought energy must be dedicated to observing the weeds and making sure that they don't hurt your harvest. I know for about 40 years, I was just in a real naive, childlike state, and I enjoyed that state of my being. But then I got to a point as I started manifesting at higher and higher levels that I had to become more discerning. about the people around me, about the contracts and deals that I was getting into, because I started attracting some weeds. They saw life in me, they saw abundance in me, and they would attract and try to latch on to me. So I had to become more discerning, and it really sucked to lose that childlike nature and that pure 100% trust in people. But it is a process that I'm going through, and it's just it feels like it sucks, but when you just understand that it's just natural and it's nature and it's normal, then you just accept it for what it is. All right. So while you want to keep most of your thought energy, most of your energy on the thought you are seeking to manifest, some thought energy must be dedicated to observing the weeds and make sure that you don't hurt your harvest. We observe the weeds and we focus on the seeds. Okay. So we observe the weeds. Like, I'm focused on this seed, but I see you over there in my peripheral vision. I see you coming. I'm not going to address you, but I see you coming. Right. So we observe the weeds, right? Peripheral vision. I see you. Okay. But I'm not going to act. I'm not going to react. Right. And we focus on the seeds. Observation is dispersed energy. That's why you're in the watchtower. It's dispersed energy. You're looking over the lay of the land. Whatever your garden you're supposed to be cultivating, you're looking over it and you're understanding how things, you're like playing the game of chess. You can see, oh, that's a threat over there. That's a threat over there. Okay, we're good over here. And focused energy is concentrated energy. And this is why we concentrate on what we want. Okay. We are concentrating energy and attention on wherever your attention is, so goes your energy. We are concentrating energy and attention, and wherever your attention is, so goes your energy. Okay. So we are focusing our attention. All right. So that's number 3, keeping the negative thoughts away, observing them. Right. But not getting so caught up in trying to chase and cut out all the weeds right away that you stop focusing on that which you are actually creating. All right. It's a game of energy management. Then finally, number 4, prune. We're not pruning to shrink. We're pruning to cut for growth. We're cutting for growth. Okay. Finally, you must prune. At first, pruning looks like you are going backwards, but cutting actually accelerates growth. When you prune dead branches or leaves, the energy that was going to those parts of the seed thought can now be channeled towards the ones that are growing with the most ease and will likely bear the most fruit. This is not cosmetic pruning to make everything look nice and symmetrical for outside observers. This is pruning according to where the energy is flowing most naturally. So if you ever see a bonsai tree, if you remember Karate Kid, bonsai trees, they don't grow symmetrically. Bonsai trees oftentimes grow like this, and you have to prune according to how the energy is naturally flowing amongst the branches. But pruning requires prudence, because it's not just dead branches that a good gardener cuts. Listen to me. Pruning requires prudence, because it is not just dead branches that a good gardener cuts. John 15:2 says, "Every branch in me that does not bear fruit, he takes away. And every branch that does bear fruit, he prunes, that it may bear more fruit." What? I'm supposed to cut branches that are bearing fruit? Yes. Listen, even some branches of your idea, your business, or your life that are bearing fruit have to be cut so that they can reap more. The dead branches are obvious, but the ones bearing some fruit are the hardest ones to discern. As I've grown the multifamily movement, there have been branches that I've had to prune in order for them to grow more. I had to cut back here. I had to snip this right here. And by snipping it, it actually accelerated the growth of that branch. And then there are other branches of the business that I've actually had to cut off entirely to channel that energy towards the biggest branch, the branch that ultimately may become the trunk, right? And so this is the discernment that we must have as the gardeners. Whereas weeding is internal, okay? Weeding is internal, it's around the thoughts. Pruning is more external. In a business, this may look like firing a good employee. Yes, firing a good employee to hire a great one, or an employee leaving a good Fortune 500 company to join a potentially great startup. In relationships, this may look like leaving a good, I know this sounds crazy, this may look like leaving a good 5-year relationship for the possibility of something 5 times better. Because that good relationship, it just had you in your comfort zone, right? It actually wasn't challenging you. It wasn't pushing you. And I know there's some people like, Jullien, I just want a good relationship. I don't care. I would never leave a good relationship. Sometimes you actually have to leave good relationships if your growth is being stunted. What's more valuable to you, good or growth? And is there a possibility of having both? Okay. Sometimes it's good versus growth. And you have to make that decision. There's no right answer. You may be in a stage where I just want good, or you may be in a stage where I want growth. And if you want growth, sometimes you have to cut good. One of the best business books of all time, you know what it's called? It's From Good to Great. I had to release good in order to become great. Okay? So in your diet, this may mean giving up being pescatarian to become vegan. In life, this could mean leaving a city you are familiar with for someplace brand new. All of these examples require you to cut ties and to take you out of your comfort zone, take you out of a comfort zone that is working for you, but not causing you to grow to your highest potential. As Mark 4:8 reads, still other seed fell on good soil. It came up, grew, and produced a crop, some multiplying 30, some 60, and some 100 times. When we tend to our garden, God can plant thought seeds in us that bear good fruit 100-fold. Plant, water, weed, and prune. This is your mental and material work as the gardener of your life. That was good. That was good. That was good. All right. So the homework, for those of you who have the rituals workbook, if you don't have it, you can go to richrightnow.com/store. richrightnow.com/store. The homework is the manifesting a thought seed exercise. Manifesting a thought seed exercise. And that is on page 86. And it looks like this. And I want you to go through the process, this 4-step process of manifesting a thought seed. Right? This is the work that you must do as a gardener. Again, you can go to richrightnow.com/store to get the rituals workbook. If you only have the Rich and Righteous book or ebook, this is all the exercises that you see at the end of the chapters that really anchor in the lessons into your actual life. So you're not just hearing, right? The truth alone will not set you free. It is acting on the truth that will set you free. Okay. Now, Rich and Righteous graduation is coming up on December 9th. You can go to rrgraduation.com to sign up for that. There are seats for 150 people. It's absolutely free. Seats for 150 people here in Atlanta. The venue will be on that page. I think those seats are getting full really, really fast. We are going to read the final chapter together on that Saturday. There will be test of monies, right? That's what we call them, test of monies, where people will share their breakthroughs and what manifested in their life. So you're going to hear some inspiring stories. There'll be opportunity to network, and I'll be doing a book signing. For those of you who can't make it to Atlanta, it will be live streamed. So that's rrgraduation.com. And with that, I will see you tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll be reading the chapter on never work for money. Do we work and get money? Yes, but we should never work for money. That is not our employer. Okay. And so we are going to be discussing that tomorrow. And until then, be God to yourself. Love yourself as God loves you. Be master over yourself as God is master over you. And remember that you are God, lowercase God, and first cause in your own life, and no individual, institution, or situation outside of you has more power over the trajectory of your life than you. Love you, family. I will see you tomorrow. Peace.